Okay, so lads, we're going to start off with just a simple axonometric projection question. It's isometric, so all the angles are going to be the same, right? So I'm just going to go through the setup. So first of all, just start with a light line now. Vertical line. Okay, don't forget to use your light pencils. Okay, this is only construction, so I'm going to use heavy in these questions because it's not really coming out in my camera. Perfect. So that can be any distance, okay? Then get our protractor, right? So as we said in the class this morning, if it's going to be 360 degrees divided by 3, because there's going to be 3 angles in it, it's 120 degrees each. So we can take this point here, line it up with our 0 and our 90 mark, and we can mark 120. So this is 90, 100, 110, 120 here. And do the exact same on the opposite side. So it's 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 110, 120 is here. Okay. So then we can draw in these lines. Once again, construction lines, but I'll just go over heavy as it comes out with my camera better. Okay. The next step we have to do is make the triangle shape that we seen this morning. Okay. So first of all, I'm just going to pick any length, doesn't matter, any distance, okay? So I'm just going to set up around here. Draw my line like so, okay? Now, to get these two sides of the triangle, what we do is go perpendicular to the opposite line. So what I mean by that, okay? If we use a red colouring pencil, okay? And if I was just to extend these lines on, okay, so this side of the triangle must be perpendicular to that, so meet this at a right angle. So how we do that is set up our sliding set squares, okay, so my sliding set square with the line like so. Just bring forward this set square till I meet this point and up to the top line, drawing my corner. So that's the second side of the triangle, okay? And that side is perpendicular to that red line that I drew, okay? So the exact same that happens for the second side. So I set up a sliding set square like so, slide it up to the point here, and they meet. If you're accurate, they meet, okay? They should be meeting by. Okay, so this is my triangle now drawn in that we've seen today, right? And this is the setup. So that setup will continue for every question. The angle in here, do you remember I measured 120 degrees? That might change slightly depending on each question. But other than that, the setup is the same each time. Okay. Now, for the second part of the setup, we must get our elevation and our plane like we went through today. Okay. So now, once again, we're back to sliding set squares technique. Okay. So this line is going to continue up, and same with the points on the triangle that are on the same side. So we go from this point up, this point up. Okay. We now must draw a line perpendicular to these 3 lines. So sliding set squares again, line it up, draw perpendicular. The distance from here to here does not matter, okay? But just try to keep it long enough so the shapes won't be running into one another, because it makes it much harder when the shapes run into one another. Okay. So our next step now is to bisect this line. Okay. As this is an equilateral triangle, each angle is the same inside the center and same outside here. This is going to be the center of the line, okay? I just know that. But with the other questions, diametric and trimetric, this line will change, the position of this line will change. So you're going to have to bisect this length from the point here to the point here. So we'll just do it anyway to get it into the habit, okay? So bisecting a line we'll put the point of our compass on one side and extend the compass slightly more than halfway at the line. Swing an arc above and below the line. Keeping the same distance on the compass, put it in the second point, swing it above and below the line. Okay, and that's our center. I am actually slightly off here. We'll put that down to the way I have to draw it. Okay, so what we do with this line now is place our compass onto it, and we draw a semicircle. So we go to this distance of the outer point. So from our center line to the point out here, we're drawing our semicircle. Okay. Now it's important to remember, right? We're going to draw in these L-shaped lines that I was referring to today, okay? But it's important to remember that it's not the bisecting line we go to. It's the line we brought up initially from the triangle. So the very original line. So we go from this point to here. And from this point up. Okay? So that's the setup for the elevation though. Okay? The plan is extremely similar. So we're going to bring down the 3 points. So we're going to bring down this point, yeah, and as you guessed it, the middle one here. Yeah. Once again, I'm going to draw my line across. Doesn't matter the distance here, but just make it long enough so that it won't be running into each other. Because when the questions get a bit more difficult, there's be points everywhere, and you're going to get lost, even with labeling. So it's good to get into the habit. So we bisect this, the length of this line here, bisect it. So we extend our compass more than halfway, put it on one of the points, swing above and below the line. Yeah, much more accurate here now, right? So this is the center line then. Okay, that's only the case for these questions because they're isometric. The three angles are the same, but when these angles are different, the bisecting line will be different to the line we brought down here in the center. Okay. Then drawing our semicircle. Like so. And draw from these points of the semicircle out to the other points. So there and there. So our plan is going to be positioned in here, elevation here. But this is the setup that's going to be used for every one of these drawings. Okay, it's the exact same setup. The angles in here may change, but other than that, same setup. Okay. So what I'm going to do now quickly is just draw the one that we got and that we went through in the lecture. I'll actually give you this, not the lecture in the class. Yeah, it's like a lecture. I'll give you this perfume bottle one that we went through. I'll show you the video here of it, and I'll give it to you as well. So just so you can kind of get your head around them. It's a bit difficult the way we're doing it now. Okay. So to draw my elevation in here, right? I have my measurements here written beside me, and I'll give you these measurements. Okay. So 35, 40, 55. So it's 55 long in elevation. So it's 55 long. Okay. So I must draw, okay? I must draw a line parallel to this line here. Okay. So sliding set squares again is going to be used. Yeah. So the height of this piece here is 60. So I can mark my 60 and go perpendicular to this line to get the kind of cube effect. That's the body of the perfume bottle. So now there's a little center piece here in the middle, okay? So I know it's 10 over from this side. These are the measurements given to me in the book. It's just basic understanding of planning elevations. So 10 on both sides, and then I was 25 high. So once again, I'm going to be going parallel to this original setup line I drew. and it's 25 high, so I can mark my 25 here and draw my line perpendicular this time. So I need to extend these points on. So that's the elevation of the perfume bottle drawn. Okay. Plan in, our plan is situated inside here. Okay, so we know it's 35 wide. Using our sliding set squares to go parallel with this line. And it's 35, 10 is 40, and 10 is 50. It's 50 long. Okay, you might be wondering why we didn't go 50 on this side and 35 on this side, okay? But it's related to the plane up here. So as you can see, we went our long distance here in the plane, in the elevation. So we're going to go our long distance this way in the plane. If the bottle was flipped to this side, we'd be going our long distance here, okay? So on some questions you can be asked to draw it over here, the elevation, and not here, and then it'll change our plane. For this question, our long distance correspond. So that's so when we bring up the points, they're going to make the perfume bottle in the center. Otherwise, the drawing will be all over the place. The shape won't come out as we want it to. So now it's just locate the top, and the measurements are given once again. So it's in 10 this side, in 10 here. Parallel once again. So that's the plan and elevation of the drawing, okay? Now, we do the key steps, and I'll keep saying this to you every single time I meet you. For this, okay, for these questions, is label, right? So, I'm going to label this corner A, this corner B, this corner C, this corner D. I'm going to label this corner 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we correspond these now again, okay? So D is here, C is here, DC. So this is 1, this is 2, 3, 3, 2, 2, B and B. This is C and C. Okay, because we're just viewing the top of it. So we know underneath C is D, right? So that's where we're getting that from. So these points are brought up parallel to where they're coming from. So if I'm bringing points from the elevation down, it's going to be parallel to these lines using sliding set squares. If I'm bringing them up from plane, it's parallel to these lines, and I can just use the t-square and the set square. Okay, so we'll start by drawing the main body of the perfume bottle, because it kind of brings shape into the object, right? So we'll bring up A and B here, okay, and we'll bring down A and B here. So A is already brought down, so that's 1 point, right? Try to avoid doing these big dots, but if you need to do it for the first few questions, that's perfect, okay? Sliding set squares. Bring down B, so that's top of B. So already we can kind of see a line coming in already, right? So now bring up the back of A and B, so they're brought up here. So this is it here, so that's A. So we travel this line up, meets the line there, B. Same now. C. So let's bring down D. So I'm going parallel to the original lines. C. And bring up my front DC, let's say, the front of the kind of at the bottom. So when we have a ball up here, all we have to do is extend on these points because it's the same point. So this is C. Extend on my D. D. Okay. So basically now it's just like matching. So I get a different colour for this because with the dark pencil it's kind of confusing. Need to come up with it, I hope. Okay. So we just match up our points. So it's AB. Okay. AD. BC. And C goes on to D. Okay. So this is the front face of the bottle, if you like. Yeah. Then it goes back to this point, back to the other C. Down to D. And we just join these points up. Okay. I'm going to leave that now before I finish joining up the rest of the points. Because I'm going to be bringing down the top of the bottle and I don't want it to run into each other just yet. It's not going to look nice. It's not going to look as a nice finished drawing. Okay. So as you see, I still have these points labelled 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So exact same process. So we'll bring up. What point do we bring up first? Bring up 1. So as I see it is 2. But we'll bring up, let's say, these points here. So it's 1, 2, and it's just represented by this point here. So bring up this point. And bring down. Point 1. And point 2. We can bring up this point. That's top of 2, the bottom of 1. Okay, that won't be shown though, that'll be hidden detail. The exact same then for these 2 final points. So it's here, it's 3, 4, 4, 3 is there, 3, and we just joined it off with these 2. Yeah, so I'll do this in different colours as well actually, just so you can see the top. Purple. So this is 1, 2, 2 goes to 3, 1 to 4, then goes 4 to 3, 3 back to 2. Is this coming out? Yeah. 3 back to 2. And that's the final project then, okay? So that's very rough, right? Because I had to use heavy pencils for it to come out with the camera and things like that. So I'd be expecting yours to be slightly, to be a lot more presentable, okay? But that is a setup and an example of a question for axonometric projection when it's isometric drawing, when the 3 angles are the same inside the centre of the triangle.